Hello, children, welcome back. This time I am here with a story for you. I know you are very much eager to hear stories. Surely this one will please you, and it's a very interesting, fabulous story. The title of our story is Bepin Choudhury's Lapse of Memory. The title is very simple and catchy. Lapse means temporary loss. Here, temporary loss of memory. Bepin Choudhury's Lapse of Memory is written by Satyajit Ray, who is one of the greatest filmmakers of the 20th century. He was an Indian director and writer. This story is a fantastic and exciting one. The characters in this story are Bipin Babu, Parimal Ghosh, Chunilal, Dinesh Mukherjee, and Dr. Chanda. The story takes us through the journey of a man named Bipin Babu who is fascinated with a very unique problem where he has lost his memory of one and only one incident from the year 1958 when he had a trip to Ranchi with his friend. Everyone recalls about his trip to Ranchi except Bipin. As the story goes, he discovers that it was a punishment from an old friend of his named Chunilal, whom he did not help in his trying times. Let us go to the detailed explanation. At the same time, you can see the new words in the glossary part. Here some new words are there: thrillers, close quarters, idle chat, meek, etc. The story starts like this. It was a routine for Bepin Choudhury to stop at Kalicharan's in New Market to buy books every Monday when he was on his way home from work. He usually bought crime stories, ghost stories, and thrillers. He bought at least 5 books to keep him occupied at home for a week. He lived alone and did not have many friends as he was not very sociable. He was not very interested in spending time to indulge in small talk that had no meaning. On that particular day, Bipin Babu felt as if someone was looking at him continuously from a close distance. As he turned around to find who it was, he saw a round-faced, humble-looking man staring at him. On seeing him, Bipin Babu made eye contact. The man started smiling and exclaimed that he did not expect Bipin Babu to identify him. Bipin Babu asked the man if he had met before. The man had a surprised expression on his face and made efforts to remind Bipin Babu of who he was. He told Babu that they met each day for a week in Ranchi in 1958. He claimed himself to be Parimal Ghosh and even mentioned that he arranged a car for Bipin Babu to the Hudru Falls. On hearing Ranchi, Bipin Babu realized that it was not him, but the man who was mistaken because he had never been to Ranchi. Even though he wanted to visit Ranchi and had been at the point of going there multiple times, he had never gone. Thus, with a gentle smile, he asked the man, Parimal, if he really knew who he was. On hearing Bipin Babu's reply, the man started biting his tongue and raised his eyebrows while he said, "Don't I know you?" He further added that he wondered if there is anyone who does not know Bipin Choudhury. As he turned back towards the bookshelf, Bipin Babu told him that he was making a mistake and that it is something very normal to do. One often gets confused. He exclaims that he had never been to Ranchi. The man laughed at Bipin Babu's response and did not believe a word that he said. He further elaborates how Bipin had a fall in Hudru and had cut his right knee and the man had helped him with iodine. He even mentioned that he arranged a car for Bipin Babu to go to Netherhut the next day, but unfortunately he could not go because of the knee pain. The man asks if he still does not recall anything from the trip. He goes on and gives some details about the trip. He tells Bipin Babu that he had come with one of his acquaintances, Mr. Dinesh Mukherjee, who stayed with his sister. On the other hand, Bipin Babu stayed in a bungalow because he preferred having his meals prepared by a cook instead of having hotel food. He further mentions the argument Bipin Babu had about the moon landing. He asks if Bipin Babu recalls anything and goes on to elaborate how Bipin Babu always carried a bag of books wherever he went sightseeing. He again asks Bipin Babu if the details he gave are apt. Amazed by the precision of the details the man gave, Bipin Babu asked him in a calm and even tone about the particular month of 1958 he was talking about. Bipin Babu's eyes were still on the books. The man mentioned that he is talking about the month of October. Instantly, Bipin Babu claims that he spent his October that year attending a puja with a friend in Kanpur. He assures the man that he is mistaken and wishes him a good day. But the man stood still and continued talking. The man goes on to mention how unusual this is because he even remembered having tea with Bipin Babu in the veranda of his bungalow in Ranchi, where he told him about his family. The man gives complete details about Bipin Babu's family and tells him that he had no children. He even adds that Bipin Babu told him that he lost his wife 10 years ago and his only brother died in a mental hospital in Ranchi, which is why he did not want to visit the mental hospital in Ranchi. Bipin Babu paid for his books and moved on his way out of the shop without saying anything. Meanwhile, the man looked at him in bewilderment. Bipin Babu went towards his car that was parked in Bertram Street nearby Lighthouse Cinema. As he sat in the car, he told his driver Sitaram to drive by the Gunna. While the driver drove up the Strand Road, Bipin Babu felt immense regret at having given so much importance to the man. He knew he had never been to Ranchi and he was sure about it. He knew it was impossible for him to forget about such an important thing of his life. It was only a period of 6 to 7 years, and regardless, he had no doubts related to his flawless memory unless his head was shocked or confused. Will it be aptly to say that Bipin Babu was losing his mind? It was quite impossible to believe because he worked at a big firm and he worked daily. He had a reasonable job. Even if there are something not right, he never realized that there was something major going on with him. That particular day, he spoke for a stretch of only half an hour at a very important meeting. But it is also true that the man knew quite a lot about Bipin Choudhury and that too some very personal details. Details like wife's death, bag of books, and brother's insanity are quite intimate details for a stranger to know about. The man was right about everything except the fact that Bipin Babu had been to Ranchi. The man was not making a mistake, but he spoke a deliberate lie. Bipin Babu was sure that he was in Kanpur at the puja in 1958 and he stayed at his friend Haridas Bagchi's place. Bipin Babu just need to write to Haridas to clear the matter, but he suddenly remembered that he couldn't because he had moved to Japan a few weeks ago with his wife and Bipin Babu did not have his new address. Then Bipin Babu thought that there was no need for proof because he was quite sure that he had never been to Ranchi and there was no doubt about it. The breeze along the river was comforting, But Bipin Babu's mind was still not at peace. Amidst everything, he decided to roll up his trousers to see if his right knee has a mark. He did find an inch long cut, but it was nearly impossible to infer the date of injury. Next moment, we know he began wondering if he ever fell when he was a boy and cut his knee. No matter how hard he tried, he could not think of a time when he got himself injured. Amidst of all this, he suddenly remembered that the man also mentioned that Dinesh was in Ranchi with him too. So he thought it would be the best to ask him about it. He lived in Benandan Street, which was nearby. He thought of visiting him at the very moment, but the thought of what Dinesh would think if he asked him about the trip and he had never really been to Ranchi made him stop. He was afraid Dinesh would conclude that Bibin had gone mad. So he did not ask him because it was a ridiculous idea. Moreover, Bipin Babu was well aware how merciless Dinesh could be when he was being sarcastic. As he sipped his cold drink in the air conditioned living room, he finally felt relaxed. He thought how annoying it was just because people do not have much to do. They start bothering others. Post dinner, he forgot all about the strange man in the new market as he snuggled in bed with one of his new thrilling books. But the next day, he realized when he was in office that the last day's incident was taking more of his attention as each hour passed. He started thinking that if the man knew even the most personal details about Bibin Babu, how could he be inaccurate about the Ranchi trip? It was just before lunch that Bibin Babu decided to confirm with Dinesh Mukherjee. He thought of clearing the matter over. A call would save him from facing the embarrassment before Dinesh. He dialed his number 235 616 and heard hello as Dinesh picked up the call. Bipin Babu confirmed if it was Dinesh on the line. Dinesh replied by asking him what news he had. Bipin Babu preferred not to go round and straightway asked him if he remembered the events that took place in 1958. Dinesh asked Bipin Babu to be bit clear. Bipin Babu asked him indirectly if he was in Calcutta that particular year. Dinesh told him that he will have to check his diary. There was silence between them while Dinesh checked his diary. At that time, Bipin Babu could feel his heart rate going up and he had even started sweating. Dinesh came back and resumed speaking. He told Bipin Babu that he had been out twice in 1958. Upon being asked, Dinesh told that he went out once to attend his nephew's wedding in Krishnanagar in February, and the second he said Bipin Babu would also know about it because he was there with him. They had gone together to Ranchi. Dinesh asked Bipin Babu the reason behind his question, to which he did not give a reply and hung up. He held his head under his hands and felt as if his head was swimming. He even experienced chills all over his body. He had brought sandwiches in his tiffin box for lunch, which he did not eat because he had lost his appetite. So, children, here all the characters are giving a proof that Bipin Babu had made a visit to Ranchi, but only he himself was not aware of that, and he is not ready to believe the others' words. So, in the next class, we can discuss whether the statements of the friends of Bipin Babu were right or Bipin Babu made a loss of memory. That thing we can see in the next class. Okay, thank you.